Don't you hate it when it works out this way? We called up Donnie Abraham and left a message, and he didn't pick up his phone. I'm pretty sure I got his, this is Donnie and all that, so we will await and see if he calls back here on Tri-City Sports Now. But there's plenty to talk about. And by the way, I'll be giving the phone number out at the end of this segment. We're talking a little bit about the demise of golf. I want to talk ETSU VMI in this hour. Do want to talk a little bit about the Elizabethton Twins situation. That is really, I pull my hair out on that one. And frankly, I just think it's time. I've said this so many times until I'm blue in the face that what I'd really like in the Tri-Cities is a AA franchise. Okay? I do see less mom and pop in the Appalachian League than before, but the Bristol Pirates, it's still mom and pop. They're run by a vacuum cleaner salesman. And what's going on in Elizabethton is just, I mean, absolutely ridiculous. And they say there's a month left to get this done. Talk a little bit more about that later on in the show from when we have time. It's just such a disappointment. And the thing is, I just think that it's just such bad people who won't talk to the media. And I mean from the Twins and the city. I mean, I have gone to Mayor Kurt Alexander right in front of him. I'd like to have you on my show to discuss the Twins situation, what's going on. I mean, I've gone to the city council meeting, shook his hand. Yes, can we set this up at 1:30 tomorrow? Yes. I call. Oh, he's not here. And I mean, I've called and left messages, and I'd like to book you on this show. Nothing. Jerome Kitchens, city manager of Elizabeth, and there's a piece of work. He's the guy who told me at a baseball game he didn't do sports. Why is he at a baseball game? Now he's talking at city council meetings. I guess I get to this right now, as a matter of fact. Why not? I mean, it's just, I've got the time now. The city council meetings, talking about golf courses. Wait, he told me he didn't do sports. What is that supposed to mean? Doesn't do sports. Why are you at a baseball game? Why are you then the city manager and talking about privatizing the golf course? What's that all about? You know, you're lying is now what it boils down. The Twins are not in the we're not going to talk to you phase. They're not in the, they're in the we're not going to talk to you phase as well. In 2016, we got a new president, new everybody. I mean, I contacted the Twins so much. I contacted them the first month of this show to find out what was going on in Elizabethton. See if I can't talk to somebody at baseball operations. Minor league what's going on? I get the word back from the PR department, we won't be able to talk to you until the end of the season, end of the baseball season. Okay. I leave messages, call, phone, any way I can, literally writing snail mail letters to executives in the Twins, Minnesota Twins, in both their former positions and their future ones. So I can't be missed. Hello, like to discuss this situation with you. Nothing. The only time I was ever able to talk to anybody from the Minnesota Twins was when Brad Steele, who's a minor league director, came down. And I mean, I literally had to, at the ballpark, run him down. And I said, you know something, I've been trying to reach you for 8 months. And I haven't gotten a call back. Well, I don't have a lot to say. Actually, by doing that, you know, my grandparents passed away this month. I could not go down and see them right away. I missed some time. You know, they died this summer. And it would have been a few hours, but it was at the point where it was very precious. I mean, instead of leaving on a Friday to arrive on a Saturday, we leave on a Saturday to arrive on a Sunday. You know? I mean, you know, that's what this all does when you don't return phone call. And, you know, I'm a member of the media here, and I'm trying to act as some sort of liaison, something to get done. This is mom and pop. This is ridiculous. The Tri-Cities is better than this. And all the way around, I just think that the people, you know, a pox on all their houses. When you look at this circumstance, let's see here. They have approved sending a memorandum to the Twins front office, setting a February 28th deadline for the Twins to say whether they will help the city pay for upgrades to the Elizabethton Twins home field. Here's what I didn't get. For years, the city said, well, we'll do the renovations, but we want the Twins to pay a third of it. That was the appeal. And by the way, we heard originally it was going to be 1.8 million, then it was going to be over 3, and then it was going to be 1.5. And when it finally supposedly was approved in September, basically what the agreement said, if you read the Johnson City Press, is that the Twins said, okay, we'll renovate this. You renovate it, City of Elizabethton. And what we'll do is we'll put in the hot tub and we'll supply with bats and balls and all that. Well, they'd already been doing that. By the way, another guy that was actually, I've tried to get Ray Miller on this show. And I mean, it's one thing to say I can't do it today. It's another thing to say that 5 times. It's another thing to go to him in his manager's office the day after the Twins, you know, he wins his 1,000th game. Twins are going to be playing for the Appalachian League Championship. Can you come on my show tomorrow? No, can't do it. That's a bad time for me. I've got to get my hair cut or whatever. You know, I've heard so many. I'm going out of town tomorrow. I can't get it. You're supposedly a professional baseball manager, and yet, you know, no media. This is mom and pop. Again, you know, how do you, with your manager, long time, someone you try to market, and that is his reaction to the media, how do you grow? You don't. This is why I've always said I'd rather have a AA franchise than, you know, the 5 Appalachian League team. I mean, it's just so frustrating. And a AA franchise doesn't treat you that way because they've got to draw 5,000 fans again. So if we're going to give them any coverage at all, if we want to talk to somebody, yeah, they're going to talk to us. Like I said, I get, in just reading the newspaper articles in the past, conflicting stories in terms of how much it's going to cost, in terms of who's going to pay what. Like I said, in September, it was, okay, yeah, the City of Elizabeth, then they'll refurbish the ballpark. Not that the ballpark doesn't need refurbished. It does. But, yeah, you'll pay for those things like the press box and the, you know, the sightline seats, you know, so then you don't have any more limited sightline seats, and the clubhouses. Yeah, you'll pay for all that. We'll provide you the hot tub. Thanks. And so end of the month, they're going to play Elizabethton Twins this year. Now, one of the things that the Elizabethton Twins this offseason, they were sold to Boyd Sports. A lot of rumors going around that the Tennessee Smokies want to move back to Knoxville. They'll build them a ballpark. Billy Meyer Stadium, I mean, that was not going to be in the cards. It's been torn down. I think there's a Billy Meyer Field where it once was. And that's where the old Knoxville Smokies played and all that. Billy Meyer was a baseball manager for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's from Knoxville. He managed Ralph Kiner. He also is probably, in all of major professional sports, the person with the least impressive resume who ever had his number retired. If you really want to go, he had one winning season in a handful of years as the Pirate manager, and they retired his number. So there you go. You know. Anyway, where we're going with this is that's the rumor. And, well, Boyd Sports, they own the Smoke. If they move the Smokies back to Knoxville, then there's a ballpark in Sevierville that's really nice that needs a ball club. Wouldn't it make sense to move the Twins to Sevierville? Just throwing that out. I kind of think it would. And to tell you the truth, even if a AA franchise is never in the cards, we've had people on the show explain how that could happen. I mean, you'd replace, essentially, the area would have to be drafted by a major league organization for them to want to put a team in the area. So if Charlotte or Nashville got a major league team, or, and I say this, the Reds wanted to move their AA team to someplace you could drive to from in an afternoon to call up a player, and there are a lot of, I mean, you know, you see the Greenville Reds, if that's testing the waters, well then, you know, you could have them draft, say, the area. Of course, if AA teams coming back to Knoxville, I mean, maybe they want to draft that. It's a lot easier to drive from, you know how it is. I mean, you know, to get to Cincinnati, unless you're going to go through back roads, and who knows what's that. You got to go down to Knoxville and then up to Cincinnati. Well, isn't it simpler to have Knoxville? I guess there's that way you can go through, what is it, 23 or 25 or so, because I've done that. And then you hit that a little bit around Morristown, and you drive up to the interstate. What is it? Is it 75? Yeah, I think it is. And then you go on up. You know, there's a way to do that. You know, and you drive a long time in Kentucky on a U.S. highway and so on and so forth. I mean, I think that's actually the shortest way to do it. But, yeah, I mean, it's a lot closer to East Tennessee to Cincinnati than it is Florida if you want to call up a ball player. So, I mean, theoretically, Cincinnati could draft the area as well if you're looking at feasibility of that. I've talked to the people at Boyd Sports, we've had them on this show, and I said, what's the chances of, you know, that? Oh, not at all. Well, what if they draft? Well, then it could. You know. Anyway, I just, you know, think more cosmopolitan and all this. I mean, that's what I want to get. And you'll have less of this, you know, just horrible situation with the Twins. And for that matter, even the Bristol Pirates or whatever. You know, the ballpark in Bristol, what is Malcolm DeVault Stadium, has been ranked as the worst in pro ball. I know that there's talk about building a new one at the Pinnacle. But good luck in getting that done. And I know that Lee Landers on this show, I know it's his last year as president of the Appalachian League, he's talked about expanding the footprint of the Appalachian League. Well, okay, that does kind of sound like, you know, Johnson City, Kingsport, Greenville, let's say, and then maybe Sevierville, and who knows where else. Huntingdon, you know, returning to one of the North Carolina cities, you know, Martinsville again, if they want to get their act in order, Paintsville, Kentucky again, you know, wherever, you know, and all this. I suppose the Appalachian League's been in towns in the past, and I got to go back a long time, like to the 40s, but it's been in towns like Newport and Irwin and things of that nature. So, I mean, those municipalities wanted to build a ballpark, but I doubt that. I mean, look how difficult it is to get Elizabeth than to just build a new clubhouse for Joe O'Brien Field, which, you know, the Cyclones don't need, but the Twins do. And look how difficult it is to, you know, to get that done. You think that then, you know, Mountain City is going to build a ballpark and, you know, for the Bristol Pirates? I don't. Come on. But the Twins are going to be there for one more year. Like I said, I also think just, you know, there are too many Appalachian League franchises in the area. I know that gives Elizabethton attention. They're listed on the back of the baseball card. I get that. Is that worth $1 million to Elizabethton? I would probably argue that it is. But at the same time, you got to make sure that your, you know, policemen are well paid and that the roads are paved and that the fires are put out and, you know, the public parks are mowed and all of that sort of stuff. And you're putting $1 million so that, you know, the Elizabethton Twins can have a team here. And you've got another team 7 miles away within a real easy drive of Elizabethton and Johnson City. So do you need that for, it's a nice feather in their cap, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, also, how many times I've seen out-of-town newspapers write the Elizabethton twins as the Elizabethtown twins. It's like Eastern Tennessee State, and all that. But I see it actually even done more for Elizabethton called Elizabethtown by out-of-town media than otherwise. By the way, I was talking about golf courses and the demise. Also, the city of Elizabethton is looking at a report from the Elizabethton Golf Course Study Group, and the council voted 6-1. Only West Fraser voted against this to allow the study group to negotiate with private management organizations to manage the golf course over the next 3 years. So, Buffalo Valley's in the air, Bristol Country Club's in the air, and now Elizabethton, future shaky there. I mentioned more than 800 golf courses in the first hour have closed around the country over the last decade or so, and we theorized why, but it's happening here as well. So there you are. Tri-City Sports Now. I'm going to try to call up Donnie Abraham again, but if that doesn't work, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Olympics. We let off Marky's monologue, and you can read what I had to say about why I love the Winter Olympics. Find out about the players from the Sun Belt who are going to be on the USA Olympic hockey team. And as I said, the Winter Olympics, they're my favorite. Hockey, that's the most exciting. It beats so much the Dream Team or something like that, where you start, why didn't they win 100-50? That becomes basketball. And that becomes, gee, that's basketball, Baseball, they don't have it anymore. And, I was in Atlanta when Carl Lewis won his 9th gold medal. It was a tremendous outing, but there's no strategy in long jumping. There is in hockey, and, I know they don't have the NHLers in there. There are a couple of guys who played in the NHL who are on the USA team, but that's always the most exciting, and I think it has been ever since the Miracle on Ice. We ought to see if we can't get Craig Patrick. I'm going to write that down. Craig Patrick, because I'm old friends with his son. And Craig Patrick, by the way, was the assistant coach of the 1980 Olympic team. When we come back, let's talk some Olympics. Let's find out about these opening ceremonies. You'll be able to watch them tonight on NBC. You're listening to 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. I'm Marky Bilson. It's Tri-Cities Sports Now.
Crabtree Buick GMC.